The Adam Project is a movie about a guy that travels to the past to find out what happened to his girlfriend, who also traveled to the past years ago and then vanished. He suspects the woman who worked with his dad, who invented time travel, is behind her disappearance. However, he gets to the wrong time and meets his younger self first, and needs him to jump back to the actual time he wanted to go to in the first place. The movie's fine, it's not good, it's just kind of mindless action with very bare bones characters, and today I thought I would talk about three things I disliked about this movie. Number one, the setting. The setting is kind of fine. I'm sure some people will complain about how the time travel makes no sense, and to be fair, I did pause once or twice during the movie to figure out if what they were saying made any sense, but at least they don't contradict themselves, I think. The only problem I have in that sense is that Adam seems very unapologetic about changing the past, so you kind of get lulled in the impression that it doesn't really matter what you do, but then when they go to find their father, he just insists that it's not okay. Like, after a while, I understood he was just kind of talking from an ethical standpoint, and sure, that's fine, but during the viewing, it definitely felt like the writers wanted the time travel paradoxes to not matter. But then, since every movie under the sun that deals with time travel says it's not okay to mess with time, suddenly messing with time is off the table and dangerous. And then also, in the end, it does sound a little forced that he doesn't want to know how he dies, but sure, I'll believe it. It's his ethical perspective on the matter. My main problem with the setting is that the movie feels really detached from any real future setting because all we get told is that the future is bad.
And your fixed time, 2050, is it bad there?
We've seen Terminator, right?
Obviously.
That's 2050 on a good day.
But we don't see any of it, and the characters definitely don't seem to care that much. I'm honestly much more convinced by the motivation Adam has to find his wife, but I feel like they just added the other one because they needed a reason for him to be okay with leaving her behind. The movie really does not convince me that the future is at stake. Number two, the characters. The characters' development is in any person's speedrun. We learn of Adam's future in this scene.
Okay, here's the rest of it. Dad's death screws you up more than you ever realize. You get depressed, you get angry. You wander around high school without ever making a social dent. College is a high point. Until after a year, you lose your scholarship for something that is so unbelievably stupid, I cannot even say it out loud right now. You end up in the Air Force. Turns out you could really fly. And then along comes time travel, and the whole world starts to fall apart until the only woman you ever loved gets taken away. Do you understand me?
We learn of Laura's story in this scene.
Met in the academy. She was 20 minutes late to the wrong classroom in the wrong building. I offered to walk her to the right one, and man, I was all in before we even made it outside. A couple years ago, she didn't come back from a jump. She told me her jet broke up on re-entry, but she was the best pilot in the program. She wrote the book on re-entry. Didn't make sense.
We learn of the mother's troubles in this scene.
She's not much of a housekeeper.
Hey, you have her to take care of you. She has no one, you understand? Do you understand? She wakes up every morning with a broken heart and a closet full of his clothes and gets nothing from you but a fistful of crap and not even like 10 seconds of genuine empathy.
I'm you know.
Tell me about it. 30 years, you still get sick to your stomach every time you remember how you treated her now.
We learn Sorian is evil with a couple lines.
That jet that went back, it was Sorian's. Sorian must have come back to 2018 and given her younger self some kind of future intel.
And that's it, characters done. We learn so little about every character that they feel like props. I was almost expecting Laura to be hiding something from us because she's such a blank slate. Like, she has a personality, I guess, but we learn so little about her compared to the importance she's given, so I thought something weird was going on. Turns out, nope, she's just in love with Adam, she's very smart, she's very skilled, she's dedicated to bringing Sorian down, and then she dies. She spent 4 years on her own, waiting for Adam to find her, and that's literally it. She helps them escape and then she dies. There's a sweet moment between the mom and Adam. Adam told his younger self he's a brat and that she's trying her best, and that as an adult he hates that he was such a pain to her. He then meets her at a bar and basically tells her that he didn't mean it and loves her and is sorry for what he did, but all through the guise of a stranger who experienced similar stuff. It's a touching scene, sure, but I would have felt more from it if the mother had had any more characterization than us being told she has a character. And also, I see that happen in basically every other movie that deals with memories or with time travel, so... Yeah, good point. A big problem I have with this movie is that everything is painfully unoriginal. Every character is a copy of another from a different movie. Jennifer Garner is playing the loving mother that's doing her best. Ryan Reynolds is playing the smart aleck hero, with Wallace Cobell as his understudy. Zoe Saldana is playing the action woman, and Mark Ruffalo is playing the science fiction scientist. The writing itself is kind of okay. Like, the plot itself is a little convoluted, and I wouldn't call it great. And I've already talked about the quality of writing that went in the characters. Okay, maybe the writing isn't good at all. What I was gonna praise is that a lot of lines felt clever. I did blow air from my nose a little louder a few times.
Who even are you?
That is classified.
Why are you here?
Also classified.
Are you in the Air Force?
When I say classified, what does your brain hear?
Hey, grab a pile. Sorry, I gotta get to my room to think about what I've done.
Okay. I gotta go. Call me if you need me.
I won't.
Ouchie, with the face. Did I do that? In fairness, though, you did shoot me first.
Hey! It's your mother's car!
That's not to say all the jokes are good.
That's weird. It farts when I cough.
Gross.
But I did like most of the dialogue when stripped of any context. I guess there's a difference between witty writing and good writing. I'm sure at least one of these four writers is very good at coming up with funny one-liners, but that's not quite the same skill as writing a coherent story from start to finish. Number 3, the ending. The ending has the mandatory laser replaced by a confusing analogous mess of a particle accelerator that the director can just choose to activate when it's convenient. Like, okay, I'll believe that Adam's glove doesn't have that much metal so it doesn't fly away, and then later his weight is enough to pull him down as the glove slows his fall. It's also just kind of neat, so I'm fine with it, but the fact that the reactor will just pick and choose what gets extracted by it is just so convenient and nonsensical. I can't imagine anyone not being the slightest bit bothered by that. My suspension of disbelief is already a little strained by having to accept that none of these guys' gear and weapons contain metal, but now you're telling me that I'm really meant to believe that she held this gun in the air with metallic bullets in it, none of which got attracted by the generator for 5 minutes or however long. But then the second she shoots it, and it's being propelled at tremendous speeds, then somehow it's immediately redirected towards the generator to conveniently kill her younger self. It's also such a huge missed opportunity. The ending would have been so much more interesting to me if it had been clear the younger Sorian did that on purpose. I was honestly half expecting this slow motion bullet to be interrupted by the younger Sorian jumping in front of it, but then that also didn't seem plausible because they warned us as soon as they were at gunpoint that the bullet can pierce through multiple people.
Get behind me, both of you! Look, Dad, those guns shoot armor-piercing bullets, so even behind you, we're still Swiss cheese!
The thing is, a very clear conflict has been set up here in the fact that the younger version of Sorian is much less jaded and evil than her older self.
Everything you asked me to do, the stock buys, the offshore accounts, all of it. It's unethical.
And illegal.
This isn't a joke. It's dangerous. The environmental impact alone from the companies you had me pick could be devastating.
Maya, Jesus Christ.
What the hell are you doing? Are you crazy?
She clearly hates what she became and seems very distraught in this very scene, so it would make much more sense for the ending to be the younger version shooting the older one. But no, we have to see the stupidest sequence to pretend Mark Ruffalo one-upped the bad guy.
You just never understood the bigger picture.
And you never understood the science.
It's even more asinine because literally all the character development they gave her is that she resents her older self, and that could have culminated in a satisfying way showing growth. Most people view themselves as being morally good, or at least doing the best they can. If you showed them they became this evil in the future, it would at the very least change their perspective on things. It's like they went out of their way to characterize the villain as not being entirely evil, and they show how bothered she is by what she becomes. But then they didn't want to capitalize on that because it would run the risk of adding too much depth to the story. That's not to say that the scene would have been fixed if she had killed herself on purpose to prevent the older one from doing anything, or if she had killed the older one. Like, she very much didn't have that strong a personality, so it wouldn't have been great. But at least it would have resolved that character thread. In conclusion, I don't think this movie is awful. It's fine. It's the kind of movie you put on when you have nothing to do and want some mindless action. It's passable by any measure. It's just very uninteresting, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone that wasn't already planning on watching it.